Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're setting the stage for a story that's, well, more than just famous. It's truly legendary.
Absolutely. We're talking about a band that didn't just change music. They really reshaped culture, the whole sound of things.
For sure. Their name alone just brings up these images, groundbreaking music, crazy levels of fame, and a legacy that, wow, decades later, it's still huge.
And this deep dive, it's a bit unique. We're not just going over the story of the Beatles, though that's definitely fascinating enough on its own.
Right.
Our mission here is kind of twofold. We want to explore their history, but also look at how the English language itself, specifically the past simple tense, helps us actually grasp that history.
Okay, interesting angle.
Yeah, we'll see how these, seemingly basic bits of language verbs in the past simple are just crucial for telling these big historical stories, not just listing facts, but really making the past feel alive.
Absolutely. So you'll see how specific words, chosen carefully, don't just give you information. They paint these really vivid pictures of moments that are long gone.
Exactly. We're digging into the source material you've provided, trying to pull out the key facts, the insights, and show how these language structures, well, they're the foundation for how we even understand the past.
They give events their shape, their impact, their place in the story. So where do we begin? The very start.
Let's do it. The genesis of this whole phenomenon, the origins, the really early days, and it starts, perhaps surprisingly, pretty humbly.
Okay, let's unpack this. So the story kicks off in a specific spot.
Yep.
Liverpool, UK. The year is 1960.
1960, yeah.
And it's there, in this sort of gritty post-war city, that John Lennon and Paul McCartney, and they were just teenagers, which is kind of amazing they created the band.
Just stop and think about that. Teenagers laying the groundwork for something that would, less than 10 years later, completely shake up the world.
It wasn't some big corporate plan, just raw, youthful energy.
And that word, created, it's our first key example, isn't it? A regular past simple verb. Create ends in E, so you just add the ed, simple. But think about what created suggests. It implies they made something new, intentionally. It wasn't accidental. They didn't just start a band, they created it. Sets a tone right away.
Yeah, it gives it a sense of purpose from the get-go. And the date, 1960, like you said, 1960, it anchors it. It puts a pin in the map of history.
Absolutely crucial for tracking how things unfolded.
And the teenagers part, it really highlights the raw talent, the ambition, maybe even a bit of naivete. It wasn't calculated. It was passion, right out of those working-class Liverpool streets. Skiffle, early rock and roll. That was the backdrop.
Exactly. It underlines that organic start lots of great things have. So, okay, they created it. But the band wasn't quite finished, right? Their identity shifted.
That's a key point.
Yeah.
And it brings us to how we use the negative past simple to talk about what wasn't true yet.
Right. Like, at the very beginning, the band didn't have the name the Beatles.
No, they were called the Quarrymen first.
Yeah.
Which really shows they were still figuring things out,
Yeah.
finding their feet.
And didn't have... That's our linguistic tool here. You used in the past of do plus the basic verb have. Didn't have. It clearly tells you what was not the case back then.
It emphasizes the change that was coming. It wasn't just about what did happen, but what hadn't happened yet. Sets the stage for the evolution.
Precisely. It frames the significance of what came next.
And things did start to solidify pretty quickly after that. George Harrison, crucial for their sound with his guitar playing, he joined the band. And importantly, they changed their name, eventually landing on the Beatles.
And there we have two more perfect, regular, past simple verbs. Joined, just add E. Changed already ends in E, so just add E.
Standard pattern.
Exactly. It shows that progression. Bands evolve, right? They start with one idea, one lineup, and then they adapt. They make changes. This early phase, moving from the Quarrymen, it's relatable. It shows their human side, the adjustments.
Finding that right combination. So the name's settled, the core lineup is starting to form. Where did they go to really sharpen their skills? It wasn't straight to the top charts, was it?
Oh, absolutely not. And this next step is huge, both for their story and for our language exploration. The band went to Hamburg, Germany, to play in bars, clubs.
Went. Okay, so this is different. No ed here.
Exactly. This is our first big dive into irregular verbs. Went is the past simple of go.
Right. You don't say go.
You definitely don't. Irregular verbs, they just have their own unique past tense forms. They don't follow the pattern. And often these are really common essential verbs like go and went here. It signifies that definite move, that journey. It feels active, maybe a bit more dynamic than just adding ed. It captures that sense of heading off into something new, something challenging.
And Hamburg was challenging.
Yeah.
Brutal, actually, from the accounts. They weren't just playing gigs, they were playing these marathon sets.
8 hours sometimes.
Yeah.
Night after night.
Just to stay awake, they were fueled by caffeine, maybe other things. It wasn't glamorous. It was like a really tough apprenticeship in these rough clubs.
Reeperbahn, yeah. Famous district.
But that's where they forged their sound, right? That tight, aggressive Hamburg sound. They learned stamina, how to work a crowd.
Absolutely instrumental. That period, playing relentlessly, it's why they were so polished later. It gave them an edge. Raw talent met intense practice.
So that Hamburg experience, it built them up, got them ready for the next big step, which involved another lineup change, the final one.
Exactly. The one that completed the picture and really set the stage for everything that came next, the Beatlemania era.
Right, because 1962 was a massive year.
Yeah.
They made a really tough call. They fired their drummer at the time, Pete Best.
Yeah, the sources say they didn't think he was quite up to scratch, or maybe just not the right fit for where they were heading.
A difficult move, but probably necessary. And then, almost like fate, they found Ringo Starr.
And boom, the band was complete. That iconic lineup.
What a moment. Let's look at those verbs. Fired, that's regular, ends in E, just add D. A clear, decisive action.
Then didn't think. There's that negative past simple again, but this time with an irregular verb, think. So didn't plus the base form think. It concisely tells us their judgment, their reason.
It wasn't just an opinion. It was the basis for their action. Shows they were getting serious, professional, committed to getting it perfect.
Precisely. Then found, that's the irregular past simple of find. It implies a search, maybe, and then success, finding that missing piece.
Ringo.
And then was, the past simple of to be, not an action, but a state. The band was complete. It's like a declaration. The final lineup locked in, ready to launch.
It really feels like the aha moment. Ringo's style, that steady beat with a unique feel, it was just what they needed.
Yeah.
The heartbeat of the band.
Absolutely critical. Finding the right drummer changed everything. This was the quartet that was about to take over the world.
On Takeover, they did. With that lineup, fresh from the Hamburg boot camp, things moved incredibly fast.
Astonishingly fast. So they released their first album, Please Please Me. That was 1963.
And the source says, almost right after that, they were famous. Like all over the world famous.
Just think about that speed. 1 minute sweating it out in German clubs, the next global phenomena.
Mind-boggling. Let's look at released. Regular verb again. Add the raid. Simple action. Put the album out.
Crosses the threshold, right? From private creation to public offering. Very standard pattern in English for recounting these kinds of events.
And then were, plural past simple of to be. Used here to describe that state, that condition of being famous. It wasn't just a blip. It was their new reality.
A sustained global condition.
They were famous.
And it happened so fast. Love Me Do did well, but Please Please Me, the album and the single just exploded. You hear that early stuff, it's pure energy.
Captured lightning in a bottle, as you said. It just connected instantly.
And that fame wasn't just normal celebrity fame. It was something else entirely.
Something so intense, so overwhelming, it actually got its own name.
Beatlemania.
Right.
The source describes it vividly. This intense love, this crazy excitement from the fans was called Beatlemania.
And fans screamed, they cried at concerts. It sounds almost like religious ecstasy.
It does. And it went even further. Some fans apparently thought the band had supernatural powers.
Wow. Supernatural powers. That's intense.
It tells you the level we're talking about. Not just admiration, but bordering on delirium.
Okay, let's break down the language here. So rich was, again, defining the term, Beatlemania was called, establishing the name.
Then the fan actions screamed. Regular verb, just add it, a visceral sound. Cried, also regular, but remember that spelling change? Yeah becomes A before ed, cried.
Both painting a picture of just raw, out-of-control emotion. You can almost hear it.
Makes it tangible, yeah. And then we get into the fans' heads. Thought, that's the irregular past simple of think. It describes their belief, their internal state.
A conviction, not just a passing fancy.
Exactly. And had, irregular past simple of have, suggests possession. They believe the band possessed or had these special powers.
These verbs, thought and had, they really show that almost mythical status the band achieved. It went beyond music.
It really did. That detail about supernatural powers, it's a perfect illustration of just how extreme Beatlemania was. Near worship. A cultural force like nothing else.
So from this absolute peak, this frenzy, what happens next? How does a band navigate that, and where do they go from there?
Well, they channeled that energy, for a while at least, into an incredible burst of creativity. But eventually, even that level of success led to a turning point.
Right, because between 1963 and 1970, that's only 7 years, the source says the Beatles made 13 albums. 13. And films, too.
It's an unbelievable output, just relentless creativity, touring, experiment in the studio, shows their drive.
But then in 1970, after that whirlwind 10-year career since they first formed, the band decided something major.
Yeah, they decided they didn't want to keep making music together anymore, and so they separated.
Wow. Let's look at those verbs. Made, irregular past simple of make, really captures that prolific creation, the sheer volume of work.
Yeah, it's a strong verb for production. Then, decided, regular verb. It emphasizes that this was a conscious choice, not just something that fizzled out.
They took control of the ending, in a way.
Seems like it. And didn't want. Negative past simple again, didn't. Plus the base verb, want. This tells us about their internal state, their lack of desire to continue as a unit. Hints at the strains, the diverging paths.
The pressures must have been immense.
Unimaginable. And finally, separated. Regular verb. The definitive endpoint, the public dissolution.
So those verbs together, made, decided, didn't want, separated, they really narrate that whole final chapter. The creativity, the decision, the reason, the outcome.
Perfectly. It's bittersweet, isn't it? A band splitting up right at the absolute height of their influence.
Oh, definitely. 13 albums, films like Hard Day's Night, Yellow Submarine, all in that short window is staggering. And maybe ending it then on their own terms kind of added to the legend.
Perhaps. It left people wanting more, forever wondering. But the story didn't stop there for the individuals, did it?
No, not at all. The source points out that all 4 Beatles had successful solo careers afterwards. Each went off in their own direction.
And incredibly, Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr are still making music today. Still active decades later.
Which is amazing. That verb had, again, irregular past simple of have. It neatly summarizes those post-Beatles successes without listing everything. Captures that they possess these fruitful solo paths.
It does. But there's also tragedy woven into the post-Beatles story. John Lennon died in 1980.
Yeah, tragically shot by a fan in New York, a moment that just stunned the world.
And then George Harrison died in 2001 after battling cancer.
Died. Regular verb, just adding D. Such a simple, stark word, but it marks those profound losses so clearly. Makes it more than just a date. It's a really poignant memory for so many.
Absolutely. The personal connection fans felt was so deep, those losses became part of the ongoing story, part of the legend.
And despite the split, despite the losses, the music just kept finding new audiences. Their legacy just seemed to grow and grow.
Which leads us right to their enduring impact, their timelessness.
Yeah, I mean, even now, 50-plus years after they broke up, the Beatles are still incredibly famous. You hear them everywhere. There are constantly new books, films. People are still fascinated.
And their artistic achievement is still recognized at the highest level. Like in 2003, Rolling Stone magazine decided that their album, St. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, was the best album of all time.
That's a massive statement. Decided, regular verb, showing that definitive judgment. And was past simple of to be, again stating that critical assessment. It was judged the best, a historical marker of its status.
It really shows how versatile was and are, describing states, conditions, identities, even critical judgments, essential stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But here's a twist I found really interesting in the source material. It talks about their inspirations.
Yes, the cycle of influence. Even the Beatles looked up to someone.
Exactly. They were apparently massively inspired by Elvis Presley.
The king. Makes sense.
Yeah, back when they were kids in Liverpool, dreaming big, they loved Elvis, his energy, his style. And crucially, they wanted to be famous like him. They wanted that kind of impact with their music.
Wow. So loved and wanted, both regular verbs adding staraten. They perfectly capture those teenage feelings, the admiration, the ambition. It humanizes them, doesn't it?
Totally. Shows they started with heroes, too. They loved Elvis, and that love fueled a desire, a dream that, well,
that ultimately came true. And there's another key irregular verb, came, the past symbol of come.
Their dreams came true. It just wraps up the whole journey so powerfully, doesn't it? From those Liverpool teenagers idolizing Elvis, playing in Hamburg,
To Beatlemania, changing music forever, creating this body of work.
and achieving everything they possibly could have dreamed of and more, came true. It's the perfect, resonant ending to their active story as a band.
So, looking back, we've really traced this incredible story, but we've done it through the lens of the past simple tense. We saw how it lets us talk about history, from the small detail of them creating a band as teenagers,
To the massive phenomenon where fans screamed and cried.
to the finality when they separated. We've seen regular verbs just adding ed or ed, providing that consistent structure.
And the irregular ones like went, made, thought, had, came, adding their own unique flavors, often for really crucial actions or states.
They're the building blocks. They turn a list of dates and events into a narrative we can actually understand and connect with.
Yeah, and understanding this stuff, these nuggets of knowledge about grammar, it's not just academic. It helps you appreciate how stories are told, how language shapes our understanding of everything that's happened.
It's like a key to unlocking history, seeing how it's constructed right there in the words used. Every time you read about the past, these verbs are doing the heavy lifting.
Letting us travel back in time, in a way, to witness these moments through language.
Which brings us to a final thought, something for you, the listener, to maybe ponder. We saw how the Beatles were so inspired by Elvis, and then they turned around and inspired countless others, completely changing the game. So, who are the artists, the innovators, maybe even the thinkers today who are quietly soaking up influences from their heroes right now?
Good question.
And how will their stories unfold? How will we use language, maybe even the past simple tense, to talk about their achievements someday? What dreams are being dreamed right now, maybe in a bedroom studio or a small lab somewhere, that will eventually...
And shape our future history.
Exactly. What's the next legendary story waiting to be told?